Good morning, and it is now today's history moment, once again live in Philadelphia. The building you're looking at here is the Second Bank of the United States and was founded after the American Revolution. However, we are going to be talking about the American Revolution and its beginning. In past episodes, we talked about past colonies that were located in the Philadelphia area, as well as other events that led to the revolution. Now, as I pan the camera around, you see this park here. What you may or may not notice is that in the distance, there are some walls with locations. And many of these locations happen to be places where the Navy and the Army would eventually find their headquarters. Essentially, one of the first locations of what we now call the Pentagon. Even before that, the original Department of War was located over there at 3rd and Market, not far away. Excuse me. There's a lot of pollen in the air. We're going to be talking about the start of the American Revolution. And the start of the revolution really had a lot of moving parts. A lot of times when you're in school, you hear about things like the Patriots and the British, and all of a sudden there was a situation where Paul Revere gets a signal in the Old North Church, Boston, that the Redcoats are marching to Lexington and Concord, and so on and so forth. But what we often forget is that there was a lot of things that took place behind the scenes, even before Paul Revere took that famous ride. The British were taxing the colonies in North America. And essentially they decided to tax the colonies because of the simple fact that the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War, was very costly for the British. Some of it was fought in North America. And the British government over in Westminster in London decided that if they were going to defend the colonies should pay for it. And thus, you have the taxes. Now, this statue right here is the statue of Robert Morris, who is a major financier of the American Revolution. So as we talk about the beginning of it, take into account these things. And by the way, if you hear things in the background, don't get too flustered. We're in a living city. People drive, people cough. I'm coughing because there's a lot of pollen in the air. So just be aware of that. We're not in an outdoor museum, but we're actually in the city of Philadelphia, where people live and work and have normal lives. So anyway, you have this tax. The British Crown decides to tax the people. The tax is too heavy. Many of the people that lived in the British colonies decided, well, we're not going to welcome this tax. We're going to boycott. Boycott things like British tea, which came all the way from India. You had a global market, and many of the responses that were taking place as a result of the taxes and so on and so forth were a direct response to the British government in a global economy. We think of global economies in our day and age, but you even had a global economy back in the 1700s. This is the reason why you have the Boston Tea Party, the New York Tea Party, and the Philadelphia Tea Party right after that. So, it was decided by the Committee of Safety, which were in each colony, that there should be boycotts. And these boycotts eventually led to a banning of British goods. Of course, the Boston Tea Party being the most famous of these reactions, probably. Now, all of the people from the various colonies decided we're going to meet in Philadelphia, form a government, First Continental Congress, and address these concerns to the king, the parliament, and the people of Great Britain. This is known as the Olive Branch Petition. Turns out that they only wanted to send it to King George III and send it to the people of Britain. They wanted the people of Britain to know this is what we face. Excuse me. And they wanted to tell the king, hey, we're not against you. We just want fair treatment. George III rejected it. Didn't even see it. This leads, of course, to the Second Continental Congress. And in between the first and the second, shots are fired at Lexington and Concord. It gets even worse. Now, due to these actions, there was a lot of tension in the air. First of all, you had the colonists, who felt that they were unfairly treated. And when I say colonists, let me be very, 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 very direct. We're not just talking about individuals who came from Great Britain. By 1776, the British had been in control of this part of North America for 112 years. You had people who were Native Americans who were affected by these taxes. African Americans who were affected by these taxes. If you're buying products or selling products, you were affected by these taxes. As a result, the Continental Congress meets right there in Carpenter Hall. And they start to formulate how to respond to the British Crown. Initially by boycotts, and eventually by raising an army and a navy and the Marine Corps by the time John Hancock becomes the President of Congress. While the Continentals, or the colonists, were having issues with the Crown, you also have to remember that there were a lot of people caught in the middle. For one, you had a lot of soldiers who were redcoats. They joined His Majesty's army more or less because they just wanted 3 meals and they wanted pay, and they didn't want to be destitute, or they didn't want to be paupers that were barely making it in London. So it was very, very difficult if you were a British citizen that just wanted to make a living and you joined the British Army, because of the simple fact that you could have been assigned here in Philadelphia to watch over a royal official. You could have been assigned here to monitor the taxes of the sailing ships, just minding your own business. And all of a sudden the events of the time could have caught up with you and swept you into this situation. You also had people like Governor John Penn, who really tried to be calm and let things play out. He didn't join the Patriot side or the British Army side. He just said, hey, I just want to run my colony and make sure that everything is good. And if this blows over, great. If not, then I'll side with whoever's in charge, which is eventually what he did after he was arrested. You had a lot of business leaders who did that as well. They didn't want to wreck their careers. They didn't want to do any of that. They just simply wanted to survive. And in the hope of surviving, they were swept up into the events and things occurred. And this is one of the reasons why it is said that Pennsylvania was not a part of British North America that was really keen to a rebellion. They simply, many of them just wanted to go about their lives and go about their day from day to day and not lose everything that they earned in the bank. They just wanted to survive. And before you know it, events took over. Shots were fired at Lexington and Concord, and the public started to shift against the crown. The lower counties of William Penn, or John Penn by this point, is what is now the state of Delaware, and they decided to break away from Pennsylvania and the British Crown in the middle of June. About a week and a half later, Pennsylvania decides to break away from the Crown as well, and they declare independence. And then a week after that, the Declaration of Independence becomes a model for the entire nation, by which the United States begins. So you start to see a section of a colony break away, an entire colony break away, and before you know it, the whole area breaks away from the crown. So this is what actually begins to occur as the American Revolution unfolds. When we come back next time, we'll probably talk about the battles and how they affect normal life in Philadelphia in 1775, 1776, and 1777. So until then, I'll talk to you later. Feel free to join. And if you need more history in your life or in your day-to-day activities, be free to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.